crisscross, pulling floss, needle thread from black to red, pink, navy green, and in between, snug as my brain. I'm Stitch Me Sane.
Hi Flosstube, my name's Carla. Welcome to my channel Stitch Me Sane. You can find me here on Flosstube, YouTube, Instagram and TikTok. Welcome to anyone who's new to my channel. I've had a few new subscribers over the holiday period, so welcome, and welcome to anyone who's returning. It's been a little while since I gave you an update. This is a channel all about my love of cross stitching, so if that's not your thing, you best move on, but otherwise stick around because I have a lot to show you all. It was just before Christmas that I filmed last time, and it's now the 27th of January here in Melbourne, Australia, and we are, where are we at? We're headed back to school next week. It's been the summer holidays here, so the kids, my three girls, have been on holidays since before Christmas, and we've had a great time. And I'm a little bit sad because this is the last weekend before it all wraps up and we have to get back into our schedule. But I thought it was time that I checked in and showed you what I've been up to over those last sort of 6 weeks. So as I said, I've got a lot to show you. I've been working on 17 different pieces, would you believe? Three of those are new starts. And I've accumulated a few things over that time that I want to share with you too. So grab some stitching and we'll get stuck straight into it. So the first one that I have been working on is one of my bigger pieces, Invitation to Sojourn. This is a piece by Unconventional cross stitch, and I'm going to show you the mock-ups so you get a really good idea of what that looks like. If I go that way, I think, there we go. So this is a big piece. I have put in 365 stitches. That was for a reason though, because I discovered that February I'm going to do the UXS29. That's the hashtag that we'll be using over on Instagram challenge, where you stitch on an unconventional cross stitch piece every day for the month of February. And Kaylee Tent Stitch and Bohemian Stitchery, so Kaylee and Nancy, they're both doing it, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how much progress I can get on my 3 unconventional cross stitch pieces. This is one of them, so next month it's going to get quite a bit of love. I'm stitching it on a 28 count 1/1 Lugana. This is where I am at. So that is her face. I generally go a center start on a lot of my bigger pieces. We'll fold that and bring it in a little closer so you can see the detail and the shading that's going on. How good is that? Her lips are incredible. I'm really pleased with how Jodie over at Unconventional Cross Stitch charts her pieces. So hopefully this will get a bit more love in February. I'm only at 2.49%, and it's a pretty big piece, 270 odd thousand, I think. So there's the piece of fabric that we have there. Yes, so she definitely needs some love. She's a part of my Stitch Me Sane Wow. That's the hashtag I use on my socials, on Instagram and TikTok, where I plan on having a wall of women. Wow. And it's a wall of female images that I'm going to stitch that are meaningful to me, and there's a few others that have jumped on board as well, and I love seeing everyone's progress. So every Flosstube, if you're new here, I point out which ones are on my Stitch Me Sane Wow. Generally I do a segment, but today I've decided to sort of shake it up a little bit, and I have my stats here, Dylan, who keeps a running tally of my stitchy stats for me, my partner. He has put my notes down today, so they're in an order that is random to me. So this was the first one on the list. Okay, so next we have an Heaven and Earth design. I have quite a few of these kicking around, and I've actually started a challenge with Nancy We've started quite a lot of challenges recently, and it's really motivating. Thank you, Nancy. You can find her over at, as I mentioned earlier, Bohemian Stitchery. I'm going to link her below. I really should get that accurate. She's fantastic. She's a fellow Australian, and I highly recommend her Flosstube. And she works on a lot of different pieces like I do, which is, I think, you know, a lot of what we've got in common. We just kind of go for it. And she's starting a whole stack of stuff this year, and I'm really looking forward to seeing, she's just got some great starts lined up. I'll talk about that a little bit later. I think I'm going to jump in on one of them. But we have a challenge going, Haid this decade. So anyone who wants to finish a Haid, no pressure, because we're giving ourselves, you know, it's 2024 now. Come the end of 2029, we want a Heaven and Earth Designs whip of ours finished, completed, done, off the list. It's a challenge that I really want to achieve for myself personally, and so I'm just pointing it out because this next piece is a Heaven and Earth design, albeit probably not going to be the one that I target for the finish, but it is still a fun piece anyway. Let me show you what it looks like, and it is called the Big Pig. I'm going to show you my pieces on my pattern keeper this time and show you the mock-ups. So this is the Big Pig, and he is very, very handsome. Look at the detail in the fur, and he's big. The Big Pig is big, and I'm stitching this one for Dylan, my partner, his writer. And it is, let me just tell you, it's 282,000, and I only put in a little measly 154 stitches since you last saw it. But I did touch it, and it's now at 2.29%. It's on a 28 count linen, and I'm stitching it 1/1. So I went for a center start up the top of the chart. And this is the Big Pig's ear coming in here and the top of his head with the bookshelf there behind. So we're starting to see a little something. The linen has very, very, very small stitches, as you can see. And the confetti in this piece is no joke. So that's something, this is one that I'd like to progress a little bit further this year. But as I said, I don't think it's going to be my Hate this decade. So yeah, this needle minder here is by Ginger Stitch AU, another Australian needle minder creator, I guess. And I just love to shout out the Aussies, so that's cool. Little bee. All right, so next up we have Starry Night, and this is a paper chart. So I do use both Pattern Keeper and paper. And this is in a kit, and what am I doing? I'm using the kit threads. It's a Joy Sunday kit. This piece is no longer under license, so it works for me. It's Starry Night. Everybody's probably familiar with this, and this is my version that I'm stitching. But I did actually pull out, it had a really crunchy piece of 14 count Aida, I think, in the kit. So I've replaced it with a 20 count Aida. But I am using the kit threads, and if you don't like parked threads, beware moving forward, because that's how I stitch. I sort of like am a cross-country parker. So this is a 20 count Aida, 2/1, and this is where I'm at. I've been using this one for a Fine Art Friday sale over on Instagram, and I did work on it a little bit for the Myth and Magic Stitch Wars that takes place on Facebook recently. I have been having a lot of fun, so I stitched quite a bit of the black over here to get some block stitching going on. But yeah, I think you can actually start to see this one take shape, and I did pop in 208 stitches, and not as many as I thought. Actually, that's pretty disappointing, but it's at 17.67%, so that's pretty cool. We are moving on that one. Now I've just noticed in my notes that I've already jumped ahead and I'm out of order. So one over here, I do this because I leave some of them on the hoop and then I miss them in my little pile. But this was a new start, and it's a pretty pretty poor new start, in all honesty. It's actually a piece by Unicorn Light Designs, or Light Unicorn Designs. I always, hang on, I've got it here. Let me just double check that. Light Unicorn Designs, and Angie at Angie Slowly Crafts and Alicia Adventures of Stitching. They were stitching one of these charts, different versions, and I've had this chart for ages, so I pulled it out and I started her. She's not full coverage, so she's actually only like 8,000 stitches. So that's her. A lot of different colors though. And I went a little out there for me, because generally I stitch on just plain white or cream colored fabrics because I'm primarily a full coverage stitcher, but this is not full coverage. So I went with a peach Lugana. It's a 25 count. You can see my start. Actually, you can't even see my start. I started on the peach part of her cheek. So I'm gonna have to bring it in really close for you to see it. And I only did a pitiful 100 stitches, so that's really quite poor of me. I haven't even hemmed my edges, but there we go. That's my girl. So I'd like to move on here a little bit. What else? Unicorn. She's in my travel bag over there, which I'll probably just grab. Just give me a second. Sorry about that. I left her sitting over there. Okay, so this is my travel bag. It's a zippered one that I use to carry around my travel piece Unicorn. And I am stitching this one. It's a Carolyn Manning Designs. I've got a lot of Carolyn Manning designs. And I'm stitching this one as 4 separate pieces. It's actually from the Tent Maker Small Collection. Show you the PDF. Look at those colors. They're so pretty. I've substituted a lot of anchor threads into this one. So the one I'm going to show you is this one up here that I've been working on a little bit. And I've popped in 325 stitches. And I'm actually like 61.75% complete on this entire piece. So all 4 of them combined. And I only stitch on it as my travel piece. It's on a 20 count aider, 2 over 1. So 2 threads over 1 square. That's where I'm at on this one. Oh, that looks so good. I kind of like showing things on the hoop still because it gives you a bit of perspective of how big it sort of looks. And I like stitching my Carolyn Mannings on aider. I think this one's probably maybe the second furthest along, but I'm trying to keep them really even so that I finish them all pretty quickly together. And I'm going to frame them, and me and my 3 daughters will have a piece of unicorn each. So that's the one I'm working on at the moment, and I just keep them in my travel bag here. And I have a pencil case. This is a pencil case I may have shown earlier that I actually stitched in high school when I was sort of learning some different needlework techniques. And my mate fits in there perfectly because I use Pattern Keeper for my Carolyn Mannings. And then I just have a little pair of travel scissors and my threads, and it works perfectly. And then I can just scrunch the whole bag up and put it in another bag like a backpack if I need to. Okay, so I'll just pop that back in there. So that's Unicorn. I think that's, oh no, I've got another Carolyn Manning to show you a little bit later. Okay, back to my piles. So my next one is one I actually haven't showed you in quite a little while. It's by Electric City Stitches over on Etsy. Julia, you can find her on Instagram as well, is the designer of this massive abstract chart. And I use this one a lot for myth stitching as well because I needed to get a lot of stitches really quickly to play that game. And this is perfect with the 939. You'll see what I mean in a minute when I show you the mock-up. So that's that. This is Sanctus. Oh, my light's moved a little bit now, so I've got to try and get that in there so you can see the piece. There we go. All the reflections. But you see what I mean. And I am, what did I do? 740 stitches. It's a 20 count, 8er, and I'm stitching it 2/1, and that is where I'm at. So I blocked off all the 939 down here, and I just kind of go work at it bit by bit. So I worked a lot on filling in these 939 gaps up here, and I've sort of come down here. I want to try and get to the other side of the fabric so that I can then sort of work left to right. That's how I prefer to work, but I started in the right hand corner on this piece. So it's big, but I feel like I'm getting somewhere now. I think we crossed close to maybe 12 or 13,000 stitches complete, and I think it's got like 260 or something. So I'll just keep chipping away at the 939. But you can start to see some of the sort of, there's a lot of different colors in here. It's got like 130 or something different shades. So trying to get that really cool abstract painted effect is really fun. And I really like working on this one, but I don't pull it out enough. So it's nice to have put in some stitches already this year, because my aim this year is basically just to work on all of my pieces with a couple of focuses. In particular, my I Hate This Decade, and I'd like to achieve a couple of my finishes that are kind of getting there, and really focus on achieving that this year, because I only had one finish last year and it was really little, so that needs to change a little bit. So that was Sanctus. What have I got next for you? Brave. So this is one of my donor stitch pieces. I've got 3 of these on the go, and that was fun too for Myth, because it's a lot of block stitching, and I've got to stop letting my mate just turn off this way so I can flick to it straight away for you. But this one is Brave, and they all have like the same appearance, these pieces. So there we go. And this is, I'm stitching this one for Fleur, my youngest daughter. She's 8. She really enjoys this movie, and I often call her Fleur Bear. So this big bear has been the focus on this piece so far. They're not that big. I think this is about 40,000, and I put in 896 stitches, and I'm at 9.74%. And that's where I'm at. This is on a 28 count 1/1 linen, and with the block stitching I am loving the effect. So I'm doing all of my donor stitches. I'm also doing Little Mermaid and Alice in Wonderland. I'm stitching the Alice in Wonderland with my good friend Barb, who is Stitch Brat Stew here on Flosstube and Stitch Brat over on Instagram. And I love these donor stitch pieces. There's a lot of them. If you have a look at the hashtag on Instagram, there's a whole fairy tale collection. I own all the charts, and I actually have kept put aside fabric so that I can do them all eventually one day if I can, but that's how big they are. So I've given myself I've been quite generous actually with the borders on this piece, but I'm really loving that effect, and the block stitching was great for Myth. But I do have a little tree coming in because I got a little bit sick of the bear, so I started some green just to give myself a little bit of a colour option. But yeah, I love the effect, and I can sort of see her face coming in, so I'm really pleased with that. But I like to kind of rotate these donors because I've got, as I said, 3. So this one will probably go away for a little bit, and I'm stitching them all a little bit differently. Like this one's top down. The Alice, I'm doing the outline first because they've all got a lot of 3808 DMC. The dark sort of teal, I think, is the number, or maybe 3810. And I'm doing the outline first on that one, which I think is always a really cool effect. Okay, next, Angie at Angie Slowly Crafts and Alicia, Adventures of Stitching. They're doing a Thomas Kincaid as well. And we have a hashtag Kincaid Brigade over on Instagram. It's quite fun. This is my Lion King, which is by the Disney Dreams collection, MCG Textiles produced, and artwork by Thomas Kincaid. So I'm doing the larger kit. You can get small ones, and you can get a smaller, more cropped version of this, as you can in all of them, but this is the bigger version, and I'm using all of the called for things in the kit. So the fabric, the threads, and I'm having a lot of fun. There are so many blends in this chart, and I've started over here in the corner, and I'm actually not too far from coming up to Mufasa, which will be cool. But I'm working on this tree. So it's an 18 count Ada. The Ada I'm really pleased with. It's really lovely to work on. This is where I'm at. So I popped in only 160 stitches, but you know, as I said to you, my objective is to really rotate all of my whips this year and work on them all. And 160 it was for this rotation. You can sort of see the blends if I bring it in there. How pretty are they? In the purples. Purple's my favorite color, so I really like working on this one. But I have to concentrate because it's on a paper chart. I don't just have my my mate sitting there easily to access. So that's the Lion King. Up next we have Arrival to Spring, which is actually one that I am stitching for my mum. It's another Heaven and Earth Designs. And I put in 1,256 stitches on this one, which is pretty exciting. It's big. It's 450 by 636 stitches. And this is what it's going to look like when it's finished. She's a lot of pastels, and at the moment I'm really trying to get down to this bird. I'd love to see a bird come into play so I can work on that when I want. Again, I went for a center start. And I'm stitching this on a 28 count Lugana 1/1. And this is where I'm at. So you can see her face. Oh, she's looking so pretty. Her nose, her ear. And then, so the bird will come down pretty much about here is where the bird is going to start. So I'm not too far off it now. But yeah, I'm really pleased with how this one's taking shape. Her neck, the contour, the shading, it's all looking really, really lovely. I really like 28 count 1/1, and I worked on this quite a little bit for Myth as well because there's a lot of sort of the same color going on up here. I worked a lot of these greens up here. So they got me some quick stitches. So where am I at on this one? Having said that, it's 286,000 stitches. So it's big. Remember, this is 28 count fabric. And I'm at a total of 3.71%. So that's okay. I've only been working on this one a little over a year. And I hit the 10,000 mark too, which is pretty cool. I like to hit the 10,000 sort of stitches mark. It's really quite motivating. So that's another one of my Heaven and Earth designs. But probably, again, not the one I'm gunning for the finish. Next is a bit of a smaller piece. So I purchased this chart from Counting the Stars over on Instagram and Etsy, I believe. And it came out sort of around the same time as the Barbie movie last year. It's Pop Art Girl or something. Anyway, look, would you check those colors out? That just screamed something I had to stitch in those colors. So I bought this, and all of my girls and I have chosen a Barbie each. So I've gone that Barbie. Let me get this right. Fleur's that Barbie, Isla's this Barbie, and Willow's this Barbie. So at the moment I'm working on this Barbie, and I'm going to stitch them separately and then pop them, fully finish them onto like a colourful tote bag for us. So I've gone mine first, and Fleur's really keen to see this finish so that I can start hers next. So they're not that big, and I went for a 14 count Ada, which I thought would look really cool on the tote bag. So this is where I'm at. And the colors are just so much fun. Like, check those out. Oh, the light's kind of not catching it properly. There we go. Oh my goodness, so good. And I put in 945 stitches. So really not that big. Again, I've been generous with my borders just so that I can have some freedom to sew. So yeah. So this one's actually, this individual one is at 14.68% already. And I'm really loving the shading of her hair coming in. It's looking really good. I might even keep this one out because I'm really enjoying the color. There's like, I think there was like 35 or 40 different colors in the whole piece. So it's really fun. Lots of confetti and block, kind of like a pop, well, the pop-up look, isn't it? Got a hair there. All right, where are we at now? We're on the home run. Next is another Carolyn Manning. This is the very first Carolyn Manning piece that I ever actually started. It's called Dragonfly. And I'm not sure I've actually seen anyone else stitch this one. I really, I'd like to finish this one this year, if possible. And I'm pretty pleased because I put in 1,680 stitches. So that's pretty cool. This is the mock-up of this one. It's from the Shooting Star collection. So it reminds me of like a kaleidoscope. Try and get, oh, that light's not working very well. And I'm pleased to say I hit the 50% mark, which was pretty cool. So I'm at 51.84%. It's on a 14 count 8R 2/1. And that is where I am at. I'm really pleased. Look at the colors. You can stitch a Carolyn Manning on 14 count. Look at it. I really like the coverage of this. I've got Carolyn Mannings on 14, 18 and 20 count 8er, and I love the coverage on all of them. It's a little bit different, but oh, I'm happy with that bottom corner. I'll bring it in and show you like really up close so that you can get an idea. How good is that? So I'm going to finish stitching those individual diamonds for the remainder of the piece. Not many more to go now. And I worked on this a lot for the Myth challenge as well, and I really filled in this whole corner down here, this bit up here, and a bit more up here. I was hoping to reach all of the four corners, but I haven't quite yet. Woo! Okay, I think that one's going to stay in my rotation, and if not, there'll certainly be other Carolyn Mannings that will come in. Glow Up's one of them, Angie. I really want to get some movement on that one too. That's on the list for a finish this year. Okay, so Towards Truth, this is from one of my favorites, Hayley Tent Stitch, the sewing shop .ca, Canadian business, and this is what it's going to look like. Now she was kind enough to ditch the background for me on this chart, so I'm not stitching the grey, and I've chosen a pre-printed Lugana called Grey Gum. It's an opalescent fabric as well, 28 count, and so hopefully all of that grey will work its way in with the fabric. So I love this piece. That hair is going to be a killer. So this one doesn't look great on camera because of all of the pale. I'll show you the fabric first actually, so you see what I mean. So this is the whole piece here, so you can get the grey effect, and I've tried to line up a bit of the clouds that were in the background, and you can see that I've gone a center start again, and that is that moth that's covering her face, and I have quite a bit of her actual face in there as well, but it's difficult to see, but they're sort of like light pinks and peaches and creams. So there's a lot of confetti in that moth, as you can see, but gee, the effect is going to be amazing. Oh, and just to add a little bit more sparkle, that sort of purple line that goes throughout the chart, that's what's it called? A toile, I think, with the little sparkle that runs up it. So all of that purple. So I really like this piece. And it's fun not to have the background there to worry about, so I do have to concentrate a little bit more. We're just wondering, I actually put in 769 stitches and we are at a total of 1.92%. So there we go. That is towards truth. Okay, moving along, we are now at Floral Woman, which is a piece for my Stitch Me Sane Wow, and I should have highlighted that a lot of these pieces that I've shown you are towards truth. The one I just showed you was, or maybe not actually. Oh, I can't remember. Mime Girl, there was a couple in there. So this one is as well, and Nancy's also stitching sort of a version for herself, a wall. And she convinced me to start this one later last year. I think it was in October. I actually can't recall who the designer is. Mummy's Hobby Design Shop over on Instagram. You can find where this chart comes from, and it's called Floral Woman, and here is the mock-up. So it's beautiful. I love the color in this one, and I started down here on this blue flower. So I went for a 28 count Lugana 1/1. It's only 75,000 this piece, and I put in 766 stitches. It was another great one that I was working on during Myth, and look at where I got to. So I've got this big blue flower coming in. This is actually the start. This is the silhouette now of her body, this deep purple coming in here. And I filled in this whole gap here, this big sort of dark blue petal, and really worked out here and worked more of this down here. So I'm really pleased with where this is at, and would you believe I'm already at 4.17%. So the 75,000 makes a huge difference when it's not those big, you know, bigger pieces. So this one's been really fun. Nancy started up the top of hers, and she started with the blue outline. I think she's trying to punish herself. I keep saying, go to the color and then you can flip out and in, because I'm really enjoying the color. I love it. And again, this kind of reminds me a little bit of my donor stitch pieces, the 28 count block stitches, but this is on a even weave fabric where they are on a linen. So there is a slight variance in sort of how the stitches lay, but they're both stunning. All right, and we're down to the last couple now. So I've got 4 more to show you that I've been working on, and then I'll show you a few things that I've collected, and a few of my plans moving forward. So this is Enter the Void. This is one everybody is probably familiar with if you've been here before. I've been working on this one for some time, and this is another one that I'll be working on for UXS 29. It's an unconventional cross stitch piece called Enter the Void 2 actually. And this is the big pastel hat. She'll be on my Stitch Me Sane Wow. And Nancy and I have also started a hashtag a non-hate this decade, which is a BAP that's not a Heaven and Earth Designs, and try and gun for a finish before 2030 as well. So this one's probably on my list as an option for a non-hate this decade. It's a 25 count Lugana. This is where I'm at, and I'm stitching it 1/1. So I'm pleased to say I put in 1,355 stitches, and I actually brought in the curve of her neck. So this is now her neck that's going to come down here, and I worked a little bit more of the border to get over to the other side. I tried to get to my bottom edge down here, but I missed out. So I'll probably head back there again. And as always, I still try to work on the hat whenever I can, just so that, you know, it keeps moving. So that is where she's at. I'll bring it in and show you the shading, because it is absolutely beautiful to get that effect. I'm so pleased with this chart. It never really kind of comes up as colourful as it is in real life. The blues and the pastels in the hat are a little bit more. The light's trying to dance with it at the moment, but it's not quite picking it up. But yeah, she's gonna look awesome. So she's at 14.47%. And I think I've actually got like 25,000 stitches in her now. So look out. I've still, the one that I've done the most work on, I still haven't shown you yet. She's yet to come. And wowee, did I put some progress into her. All right, remember I said I had 3 new starts. This is the second of those 3. I already showed you Mine Girl, which is one of them. I ordered, actually I won some fabric off of Kaylee, and so I got some purple as well while she was going. I'll show you that one a little later, but this, oh my God. Okay. This is the first time I've worked on like hand-dyed fabric, and I think I've fallen in love. It is Queen of the Night. It smells delicious, Kaylee. This is like just so beautiful. It's a 25 count even weave. Would you look at this? Oh, but I'm showing you my stitches upside down. Let me go back. Oh, I really, really love this fabric, and I don't know why I haven't been stitching on all of these glorious colors up until this point. But here I am. I've joined the party. So this is the piece that I started, that I envisaged I needed a purple piece of fabric for. Caddy Sue Cat's over on Instagram. She started this. She convinced me to join her, because how could you not? It's called Colourful Sampler. Well, that's what I call it. And look at that. It's 121,000 stitches of just like colourful amazingness. I'm trying to remember actually who the designer is of this one. Noosa Creation, Noussa Creation. And I think I purchased the chart on Etsy. And so then Kaylee sent me this with the other fabric that I asked her for. And I just love this. So then I started this chart with Caddy Sue Cats earlier this year. And here I am with my, what I call my colourful sampler. So let me show you where I'm at on this. So I started over on the center of the left-hand border, which is here. How cool are those colors? And how fun is this sampler going to be? Oh, I'm having a lot of fun. So I've put in 1,315 stitches is what you see, which is only 1.09% because it's 121,000. But that is beautiful, and I just love this fabric. Thank you so much, Kaylee. Okay, 2 more to go. So we have, this is the contender for I Hate This Decade. I'm pretty certain of it. This is Yes. And it was not my first Hade. Farewell to Anger was. But I think this was my second. Certainly my most advanced full coverage back that I have. I just hit 32,000. And it's artwork by Marta. No, is it? Yeah, Marta Dalek. Check it out. I love this piece so much. So it's the pig with the girl looking down. Let me show you the mock-up. So I've just hit 32,000. If you want to get a really good look at these, please just go have a look at my Instagram. I'm posting this one pretty regular at the moment. I'm pretty active over there. So I worked on this quite a bit, and I put in 3,533 stitches. It's on a 25 count Lugana, and this is where I am at. So I worked on a lot of this up here, trying to fill in the blue. I filled in the red box a little down here, plus some more here. I worked on the pig's head, and I've worked on her hair, and I've worked everywhere like I usually do. Let me bring it in for you. Look at her. I am so pleased. This has 11,000 stitches of chronic, and I am undecided whether I'm going to do all the 11,000 just yet, but I have certainly started. And the pig, you can see, has some here and on top of its head, if you can see the sparkle there. So up here, how good is the shading in her face and those boots? So that's yes. And I am very pleased with where I'm at. So it is now 16.73%, and I think it's achievable. It's 193,000 in total. And I'm loving it. There's my back. All right, lucky last. All right, let me tell you a quick story. This was really cool. So I think I saw, well, I know I saw someone stitching this on Flosstube here on Flosstube. Can't remember for the life of me who it was. I'm sure I'll come across them again. And I saw what they were stitching and I thought, oh, I've got to get that. My mum's fallen in love with that chateau show where they do up a French chateau. If you know it, you know it. Anyway, this came up on someone's Flosstube and I was like, oh my goodness, that kit would be amazing. I'll stitch it for mum and give her her own chateau. Oh, would you look at that? So I found this on eBay and there was one here in Australia, and I ummed and ahed and I said to Nancy, I said to Barb, I don't know. I went to sleep, I got up and someone had already beaten me to the punch. Anyway, a couple of days later it showed up on my doorstep because that person was Dylan, my partner. So I'm now the proud owner of Milady's Chateau. Milady's Chateau. Milady's Chateau. It's a Dimensions kit from 1995. It came in these old school bags. I'm so pleased that it came in the original bag. And it was a sort your own threads. So I did that after a little bit of deliberating on how to do it because the chart is not an overly easy chart to read. Here are my threads. Aren't they beautiful? They're gorgeous colours. So lots of greens. So they're going to be really pretty to work with. It's on a 14 count aider and I'm using everything in the kit. And there's a lot of half stitches, which is where I started. And this is where I got to. I started this yesterday. So I started, I'll show you where I started. Here. So this little bit of green in between the bank of the river or the pond and this greenery, and up here started the chateau there. So that's where we're at. And I've been stitching it in hand. I do that with all of my 14 count crunchy aider until it softens, and then I'll pop it in a hoop. But at the moment it's still, you know how it's like still too crunchy, so it's much easier to sort of just stitch in hand for now. But I'm really pleased with what I got done yesterday with those half stitches. It went a lot quicker than I anticipated. And I'm really excited to get this one going. It's not as big as, you know, a lot of my pieces. This is 14 count aider and it fits very easily into the frame. So that's my final new start so far this year, and I'm really excited. This actually came from America. Michael's, yeah. And now it's here in Melbourne, Australia. A lot of years later. Thanks, Dylan. I'm really excited about this one. So I think I might keep this one out because I only started it yesterday. And there's a few other things I want to show you. So I mentioned that fabric that Kaylee, hand dyed and sent me. It's a beautiful piece of linen. And oh my goodness, I'm a little nervous to start my plan for it because I have to nail this where I start. I'll show you what I'm talking about. It's the pattern by Nini Thomas, Queen of Silk, the chart. So that's her there. glorious. There's a kit by Design Works with this artwork as well that Megan from Stitching Moon is stitching, and that's what actually started my little journey into this piece. And then so Kaylee hand dyed me a piece of linen, let me get this right, so that I can ditch the background and incorporate the artwork onto the linen without stitching the tree and the branches and the green background. How awesome is this going to be? Woo! I'm super excited, but I'm a little scared because I'm going to have to nail, I'm pretty sure, her head in exactly the right spots so that the foliage, because I'm going to stitch like the blossom but not the actual branch, it's going to give it some like glorious texture. So I am super excited about this one, but I really need to have a moment where I've got some time to really concentrate on laying in that sort of probably first 1,000 stitches so that I nail the placement so that it's just perfect. So stay tuned, keep a watch out on Instagram. I'll definitely post my start over there, I always do. Thanks so much, Kaylee. Like I'm super excited. Haven't shown you a Christmas present that I got from Dylan. This is a kit that I had been admiring and looking at for some time, and he went and sourced one for me here in Australia, and I am now the proud owner of what I call the Blue Flowers Girl by Lenate, and isn't she just stunning? So I have already made myself a working copy, and I haven't started. This is going to be like a treat start, but look at those colors. They are just beautiful. And I've really like gone back into the world of kits at the moment. I'm quite excited. Quite excited by all my recent kit purchases. So stay tuned. I know there's a couple of you already stitching this on Instagram. I think Crafting at Colorado, Alyssa has already started this, I think. Don't quote me on that. I know there's a couple. When I do, I'll have a look into that a bit further. This came up, I've seen a couple of people stitch this and it came up cheap and I saw it and so I grabbed it. The Dimensions Balloon Glow. So you've probably seen this kit on socials, but I love it. I love the colors. They are beautiful. Sorry about the reflection. And so that's something that I'm probably going to start sooner rather than later, but I just wanted to show you because, you know, who doesn't love seeing a new kit purchase? And this is awesome. So I purchased this, I think this was an eBay purchase one random night. Check out that. Oh my goodness, it's a kit from Abras Art in Ukraine, and I love that. It came on a 14 count black Ada, and look at those colors. It has a lot of French knots though. A lot of that effect that you see in the sky are French knots. But gee, I love that. Oh, can't wait to start. It's not huge. That will be really good fun. I'm really into darker fabrics. I love the effect. That is all the cross stitch that I have to show you. I do have one other needlework thing that I just want to show you that I recently picked up secondhand. It is a long stitch kit, and I did used to enjoy doing a bit of long stitch, but the image just grabbed me and I had to have it. And I think this was on Facebook Marketplace. It is an image of a tram on Collins Street. I've worked in the Melbourne CBD most of my adult life, and so this just really kind of reflects the last 20 years of going in and out of the city for me. So that's the image, and I'm going to give this big long stitch a go. I've also taught my daughter Flo how to long stitch. She's got a little kit as well, but like check out the amount of yarn or wool in this kit. Like it's just bundle after bundle after bundle after bundle, And yeah, it's going to keep me busy for a long time as well. But I'll put a few stitches in when Flair's interested in wrapping on a little one that I got for her. She seems to think that it's pretty cool because the progress is not bad. Then I finally, I think I've been roped into starting Death by Cross Stitch. I was put off a little bit by it. I loved it when I first saw it, but then I just saw it because it was just everywhere for a very long time. I feel that sort of hype's calmed down a little bit, and I think I'm ready to join Nancy come the end of February. And we're going to just dig into our big tub that we have each of scrap threads that we've collected over the years and try and eliminate some of them. I did purchase this big secondhand piece of fabric. Now it was in an op shop as a tablecloth, but I'm pretty sure this is an even weave fabric. It's also been hand overlocked. This is hand done. It's not professionally done. So I'm thinking it's a 25 count, and I might just throw in a few stitches just to see. That would be a good option for Death. It is huge. UXS 29, Death, all the charts. I've got lots of things to work on. I'm looking forward to a good stitchy month. The girls are going back to school next week. I go back to work next week. I've had a week off. Mixed emotions there. I'm sure it'll be like spending a week or two catching up on just the week that I've had off, but you know, that's how it goes, isn't it? I hope you've all had a really great, you know, sort of restful last month or 6 weeks, whatever part of the world you're in. I know it's been very cold over in half of the world, pretty warm here, and it's not over yet. And I love summer, so I'm looking forward to some more warmer weather before that's up. And yeah, I'll see you over on Instagram. Happy stitching, everyone. I look forward to seeing you again soon. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you again soon. Bye.